This loss. This loss, man, this one is really frustrating. This one is really frustrating for a multitude of reasons. I feel like a broken record saying this, but Bears lose again. This is the 12th straight reaction video. 12th straight game that the Bears have dropped. This jersey number is the amount of games that this team has lost in a row. And I also just heard that it was that not only did they lose 12 straight in a row, they let up 25 plus points in every game of this 12-game losing streak. Which, I mean, no wonder we're losing every single game because our offense can't score 25 plus points. Our offense can't score. Which leads me to Justin Fields. Fields today had several issues, and I'm starting to get really annoyed at this kid's performance. I'm really starting to get annoyed. I really believed that he would have improved as a passer, improved as a quarterback, but he's running into a lot of problems that he faced last season, except now that the entire league has had a full year to understand that he's a great running quarterback and a quarterback that can escape out of situations. They're planning better for that type of stuff. So now he just looks bad. My biggest problem with him is that he just holds on to the ball for too damn long. Oh my gosh. I swear, sometimes he doesn't know what the concept of letting go of the ball is. It's so frustrating. Several times in this game, he should have been able to complete a pass and just gotten the ball, look one read, see him open, or see him have a lead on a receiver and throw the ball. He's too scared to throw it looks like. And it's so frustrating because the Bucs defense were able to eat him up like they were dinner, like he was eating for dinner because they got so many sacks on him. It's ridiculous. And he should have known that and the whole team should have known that they have to work on not necessarily like what they did last week, where like a lot of like 3-5 yard like screen passes, safe options. They just have to be like, okay, I'm gonna grab the ball. Look, I got my receiver. He's open, and throw it. Because the defensive line for Tampa outclasses the Bears' offensive line by miles. Oh, man, this one is really frustrating because I know that he can be a passer, and I know he can do good. But he is just not adapting, and he is not performing well. There were some changes that were good. Like they got DJ Moore involved. They threw the ball downfield a little more. I was really impressed with how they played for in that sense. The rest of the game was not great. Then again, they have to play with they have to go up against the defense that is ours, and it's just ridiculous. The defense, well, today, coming into today, we were without Kyler Gordon. He wasn't there today. And then Jackson and Brisker both got hurt throughout the game. So now our secondary's already batted up with our three biggest names on the team, aside from Jalen Johnson. It's annoying. And, of course it's our defense that's getting all the injuries right now. Of course it's the defense. It just is so annoying because the weaker side of the ball, or the supposed weaker side of the ball, is already the ones that are suffering injuries. Not to mention, this team was without Alan Williams, the defensive coordinator for this game. So Coach Eberflus was calling the defensive plays in this one. And frankly, I don't have a read on it. Because the defense, I think it might just be a talent issue at this point. I genuinely feel like it might be a talent issue. Because of just the fact that we were without three of our best players in the secondary. And it's really annoying. And our defensive line can't get to the quarterback. That's not happening. Look, I didn't think Tampa was going to be that good of a team this year because they have Baker Mayfield as their quarterback. But, oh wait, Baker Mayfield has a great team surrounding him with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, which, by the way, Mike Evans was just unguardable today, absolutely torched our defense. And then, they've got so many skill players on the defense. Like, this team is still, like, a really well-rounded squad. And we're just like, oh, yeah, they've got Baker Mayfield fighting with Kyle Trask for the quarterback position. They're going to be terrible this season. We all forgot just how many pieces are left from when Tom Brady was here and how good these players can play when they're fully healthy and playing at their peak. Because obviously Tampa was not playing at their best last season for the majority of the year. But I feel like the team has a chip on their shoulder, and they've gone 2-0 against former NFC Central Division rivals, against Minnesota and against us. And it's just, they played good. Baker Mayfield looks like the better quarterback, and I feel like he's the better quarterback between him and Justin Fields. I would have always said that, honestly, kind of. Not the end of last year, but last year was a really bad year for Baker Mayfield. But, like, he's having a renaissance right now. And if he can keep up this play, he's going to have the starting job in Tampa for a while. Now compare this to the Bears roster. Baker Mayfield has a perennial 1,000-yard receiver, gets 1,000 yards every single season, has another number one wide receiver on the team in Chris Godwin, and has reliable tight end options, and a bunch of guys on Tampa Bay got their first career NFL receptions today. So they were even making some of these other guys who don't get very much attention get the ball as well. So they were spreading the ball around too. It wasn't just Mike Evans. And that's what makes this game really frustrating, is that the secondary just couldn't cover anyone. And, man, it's so frustrating because the team is just not good. And I'm low-key not surprised, but I'm also a little surprised because I would have assumed that they would have, been like, yeah, we don't want to go 3-14 again. But now it feels like that's the track we're going for, because now it's just we can't seem to get anything going offensively unless it's an opening drive. It's just so frustrating. And we've done a good job getting Justin Fields some help. We got him DJ Moore, true number one receiver. Darnell Mooney's a great receiver, but he got injured, so he wasn't available today. And then Chase Claypool, which Claypool, I'm so tired of him, honestly. He's so frustrating. He just lacks effort. He has the talent. He has the raw talent to be a great receiver in this league. Maybe even a top 3 receiver, as he said. As he said just a few years ago that he was a top 3 receiver in the league. He could possibly get there if he showed some effort. If he showed any effort. He caught his first pass of the season. I swear, probably his first pass ever from Justin Fields, I swear to God. And it was a touchdown. Got his first touchdown with the Bears. Good for you. Good for you, Chase. I'm so glad you finally did something. It only took you 12 games, 11 games. 11 games with the team for you to do something. Catch a touchdown, catch a meaningful pass on the 3rd or 4th down. It took you 11 games. Good job. And it's we have some good running. It's we have a good running game, but if our offensive line can't block and can't, create holes for these running backs, then the running game's going to be terrible. It doesn't matter who's at running back. Which is why there's a lot of why the running back question around the NFL is really starting to heat up, because most people are like, wow, we see all these running backs just blossom into superstars left and right. And it's yeah, because they have good blocking, and then these guys are all in the NFL because they have really good talent. Sometimes people just don't do well because they're on a team that doesn't have a good O-line. Let's look at Tony Pollard. He kind of came out of nowhere and basically stole Ezekiel Elliott's job because he's just a really good running back. And so then there's now the question is okay, why are we paying running backs? And it's we have Herbert who can run the ball. Foreman was good in Carolina last year, and I think he's probably still pretty solid. And then Roschon Johnson is blossoming. He's had a pretty good first couple games here. I'm honestly surprised they're giving him as many touches as they have, to be honest. And then, of course, you have Justin Fields who can run for his life, but the teams are planning around that. And it's just, the offense has always been the Bears' problem. It's never been the Bears' strength. And I felt like going into this year for the first time in what seems like forever, I was confidently saying the offense is our strength. And to a degree, you could say it still is because our defense is just that bad, or I don't know. It's just I'm kind of at a loss of words right now because I feel like I should have expected this and seen this coming from a mile away, this 0-2 start, but we were all caught up in everyone in the media and everyone on social media saying that Justin Fields was going to blossom into a passer and be a great offensive powerhouse, and he just hasn't. Like, he's got to have some sort of renaissance like he did after the Washington Thursday night game last season where he played arguably his worst game of the year. Actually, his worst game was probably against Houston, but one of his worst games of the year. And then he played well against New England, got that win, and he's continued to play well while the team was losing games because the defense couldn't stop anything. And you know what the best part about this is? We're about to be 0-3 because we're going to Kansas City next week. We're going to Arrowhead to play Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs with Chris Jones and Travis Kelce. May as well just book the L now. We're going to lose by like 28 points. We're going to get blown the hell out. We are going to get blown out of the water. We're going to get blown back to Chicago and farther than that. We're going to be stuck in Lake Michigan for a while. I swear. That game is going to be ugly. Unless something severe changes here. Because obviously no one's happy with how the team's performing. No one in the front office should be. If people are content with this, that's the reason why we continue to lose like this and continue to just suck because they're content with it. We can't be content with this. There's got to be severe change. Justin has got to be more confident. That is, to me, that is the big focus this week on the offensive side of the ball. Blocking from the offensive line and just having quick routes where Justin Fields can be like, okay, I'm getting the ball out in like a second and a half, as opposed to holding it on after the first read and then holding it on to it for too long, for like 4 or 5 seconds, and then getting sacked. And like, I understand they're not going to be open every single time. I get it. But there are certain plays that could, be big gainers if you would just throw the ball to the first receiver, not necessarily even the first receiver, but to an open receiver who's not wide open. He doesn't have to be wide open, but throw to the ball in the middle of the field for a receiver who's open. And then let him make the play instead of holding on to it after that and then trying to find another option on the sideline or something and then taking a sack because you can't hold on to the ball for that long because the offensive line can't protect for that long. It's just ridiculous. It's just really frustrating. It really is. And I don't know. I just don't know where this team can go from here. Because obviously they're going to lose against Kansas City. And then they get 2 teams who are actually playing today, the Commanders and the Broncos, for the next 2 weeks. They get at home against Denver, who also is an offense that's struggling right now. So that could potentially be a defensive slugfest. So that's a potential chance to just pull out a win somehow. And then you get the Commanders on Thursday. Deja vu from last season. If Fields have another terrible game there, I mean, honestly, if we're 0-5 after that, going to that game at home against Minnesota, I mean, I'm pretty sure most of this city is going to be calling for Tyson Bagent. Which, who would have thought about that at the beginning of the year? Who would have thought about that during training camp, that Tyson Bagent, a quarterback from Division II school Shepherd, would be potentially being called by fans to start over Justin Fields, the Ohio State phenom. I mean, we were all like, okay, we're going to have P.J. Walker and Nathan Peterman backing him up. But Tyson Bagent came out of nowhere and had a pretty good preseason, and he deserves the number 2 spot. Man, if we start 0-5, then I think we're starting to see some firings. We could be seeing some major turnaround if we start 0-5. But obviously, no one's getting fired after next week because we're going to be 0-3 because there's no shot we're going into Kansas City and beating the Chiefs, especially if we can't go into Tampa and put up more than 20 points against the Bucs. So, what happens now? Justin Fields has a lot of development. He's going to improve as a passer in several aspects. One, just throwing the ball, just throwing it. And two, making good decisions when throwing the ball. Because guess what? Not every first read's open, and not every throw that you're going to make is a good pass. He had several passes that could have been picked. He had one pass that Claypool had like the laziest effort on trying to break up as a pick. Because the guy who was covering him had his hands on the ball, and he was like, okay, well, he got it. He didn't like fight at all to try and jar it loose. Thank God it was incomplete. But, dude. And then that final play, the final pick to seal the game was Shaq Barrett. I honestly don't know if I blame that on him. Because it was supposed to be just a short pass, and Shaquille Barrett backs up and just has a really nice one-handed catch. Like, I honestly just, that's great athleticism from Shaq Barrett. I can't really complain or argue about that. That's a great play. And of course, because at the 4-yard line, he takes it in for a touchdown. And the game's over at that point. And so he's got to cut down on those bad throws. And if it's a contested throw, he's got to put it in position so his receiver can go and get it. And that's also the problem. He's having problems reading NFL defenses. And I think that he's got to do a lot of work in the film room to try and study this, and just once you figure it out, you can work. But also it just depends on also the coaching staff he's got as well. Because obviously, look at what Jordan Love is doing. He looked pretty good today again, didn't he? 3 touchdowns, no picks. They still lost, but that's not necessarily his fault. Where many Bears fans are really harking on him today. I've been seeing some things. Bears fans are now starting to get really pissed at Justin Fields. The duality of man, seriously. Just 2 weeks ago today, we were all just so excited for the season, hyping up Justin Fields as the top 5 quarterback in the league. And then 2 weeks later, who knew that 2 weeks later we would all be sitting here possibly wanting him out of Chicago? It's absolutely insane. But yeah, he's got to do a lot of work. Look, if he can have a good start against Kansas City and the team can stay in it at least through the first half, cool. You know, they're gonna pull away at some point. If they lose a close one, I mean, if there was like a 3-point loss, not bad. It's just they need to show any sign of life going into the game against Denver at home. And it's just, the game here is so frustrating because of where we are on the schedule. I would have loved to be 1-1 going into that game against Kansas City. I thought we really had a chance. I really thought that they would really look over film and, Fields would probably improve, because usually, the games against Green Bay are really hard to kind of judge, especially if they're week 1, because that game is such a high intensity, and you kind of change your game plan for that game because it's Green Bay / Chicago, depending on which side you're on. So I was expecting things to be more traditional and, to see what we were going to do in a more typical game. And they made some adjustments, but it wasn't enough. It just was not enough. And next week is going to be brutal, is all I'm going to say. So, what to expect? A beatdown. Patrick Mahomes found his stride today against Jacksonville. It was only 17-9. It wasn't, an offensive showcase, but I'm expecting this one to get ugly pretty fast, especially if they play like they've played the first 2 weeks this season. I really don't expect much. Maybe a touchdown or two if they're lucky, but man, the curse of offense for the Chicago Bears just continues over and over again. It's just been haunting us forever, it seems like. And so it seems like we did not find the golden boy. That's what it seems like right now. And if he wants to change that narrative, he's got to prove us all wrong. Not just us Bears fans. He's got to get us on his side. But not only us Bears fans are doubting him, the entire league has been doubting him. That anyone who has not been on the Justin Fields hype train has been on the Justin Fields hate train. And they are getting proved right. So Justin Fields needs to get us back on his side, and he needs to squash all the haters. Can he do it? Anything's possible. Is it going to happen? I have no idea. Do I think he can do it? Yeah, I think he can do it. Do I think he will do it? I don't know. It doesn't seem very likely right now. Because he's had a whole off season to train, and it does not look like he's improved much as a passer. And so it's really frustrating. So that's it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and hit that subscribe button for more content from me. I gotta get out of here. Just not think about this team for another week and then back into the misery. I'll see you guys in a week. Have a good one.